Actually, I want to, because of Alan Greenspan's recent death, 60 Minutes has been rerunning a few of their past pieces where they interviewed Alan Greenspan, where he testified as to what the demeanor of the past presidents were. And I am deeply fascinated by the past presidents, especially due to the fact that, like, I have family members that tell me about what they remember from those previous administrations. My grandpa thoroughly remembers the Nixon administration. Granted, his daughter and his son were born right around the time of Nixon and Gerald Ford, so it's kind of a hard time to forget. But in general, I just love the reviewal. I love reviewing time to figure out really, compared to what we're living with now, how nutty were our previous presidents. I really think people forget just how kind of based Nixon was.
Greenspan writes that Nixon was anti-Semitic, anti-Italian, anti-Greek, anti-Slovak. I don't know anybody he was pro.
That's like, if you're gonna be a hateful son of a bitch, I love the fact that it's like, I can't think of a single person he even liked. I think he even hated, like, Protestants and shit.
Greenspan writes that Nixon was anti-Semitic, anti-Italian, anti-Greek,
anti-Slovak.
I don't know anybody he
What
was
did the
pro.
Slovaks do?
And Gerald Ford?
Extraordinary human being.
But he wasn't the smartest, you say?
No, he was not the smartest.
The nicest people aren't always.
Normal.
And that's
Oh,
what
most
you ended
normal.
up admiring, the normality.
Well, it was also the ethical base of the man.
Oh.
We'd be discussing policy and he says, let's forget some of the facts. And it's just the right thing to do for the economy.
And the other presidents didn't focus to that extent.
Yeah.
Of Ronald
Interesting.
Reagan, he said he had an odd form of intelligence which he used to improve the country's self-image. He writes that he had a, quote, terrible relationship with the first president, George Bush.
I have a soft spot for H.W. because I feel like he was the last normal politician we had, in the sense where, this is, by the way, this is pre my birth. I was born in 2003 for reference. I know people are going like, oh, you're this, whatever, you're a Bush baby. Shut up. Second administration Bush. And honestly, it's better. It's better because that means I'm not an old fuck. Listen, shut up. Shush. I understand 1993 is not old. I understand. I get it. 1989, a birth year, and that year is not old. I mean, to be fair, you're as old as the Michael Keaton Batman, and that's, it's not old, it's just like a couple decades, and admittedly, that's probably weird to hear. But anyways, I have a soft spot for H.W. Bush, because, listen, he just worked in the CIA quietly. He helped kill Kennedy quietly. He then married Aleister Crowley's child quietly. He was a quiet member of the ruling class, a quiet member of the Skull and Bones Society. He was a quiet mover. He was literally like Megan Thee Stallion. He made moves in silence. And everybody, listen, if you're a Clinton child, if you remember the years of Clinton, like where listen, the economy maybe was rocking. It was fun to go get Wendy's for really cheap back then, and gas was a pretty good price. Whoop-de-doo. I think that's fantastic. But what can you deny, though, that the shakiness of his later years, the eventual downturn of like, oh, are we really gonna elect this loser Al Gore who just has the perpetual energy of not really scolding you, but just kind of talking down to every person? But he saw. Didn't you watch the debate? He kept sighing. We can't have somebody who keeps going right into the mic. It's so annoying. We can't elect this stupid. And then there was obviously the infidelity, as I'll call it, with listen, as though they were even really married in the first place. They both have probably had sex more so with children than each other. Let's just call it what it is. That's what the Clintons are. It's what we've always known they have been. It's just like a truth. It's unfortunate. But okay, H.W. Bush was this chapter where, like, okay, maybe he's going to go commit a couple war crimes here and there, but you're not going to be hearing about it all the time. Most importantly, because social media doesn't exist. But after this, the internet is out. After this, it's way more conspiracies are getting well known. People are passing around less so books and more so talking on online forums. 9/11 is going to blow up a bunch of shit. It's going to wake a bunch of people up to things. COVID even more so. Assassinations coming up even more so. Clinton's era was nuts. Bush's era was nuts. Obama's era was nuts. Everybody likes to pretend that it was sunshine and rainbows, but like, he was killing people all the time and nobody likes to talk about it. Nobody likes to talk about how he was against gay marriage in the first term. Nobody likes to talk about all of the messier angles of his administration, how he was trying to silence whistleblowers, how he expanded the surveillance state, in general, you can call him a servant to Wall Street just as much as any Republican before him. He also, he got the economy playing in that same sort of way. I don't care. He has things to criticize, and anybody that pretends that he was perfect is not living in reality. If anything, he was like a Bush era 2.0 kind of. He was a continuation of the war on terror policies, and he was more so an expansion of our wars in the Middle East. And Libya was an absolute disaster. Everybody likes to be like, oh, everything we're doing in Iran is such a travesty. Libya was being blown to smithereens every week in the Barack Obama administration. Every week. Syria happened under the Bush, not the Bush, but the Barack Obama administration. Like, I understand. In Bush, he had Abu Ghraib. He had torture prisons, black site torture prisons. They still exist, by the way. The CIA still tortures people, but they do it in areas that we just haven't found yet. Folks, I'm just saying, no matter how much you don't like the his accent, maybe he just bothered you, the George H.W. Bush type. You didn't like his put on fake, I'm a real down to earth American, even though I went to some of the finest blue blood, universities this fucking country has to offer. And it doesn't matter if my father was Senator Prescott Bush. It doesn't matter that I come from this essentially Kennedy-like family in politics. I'm just like, I understand the troubles of the average American man. Now watch me get defeated for a second term by getting votes siphoned off by Ross Perot. Like, listen, the George H.W. Bush administration was the last normal one we had. And then, by the way, to get back to my timeline, after Barack Obama, which I told you is nuts, everybody likes to pretend it wasn't, but it was nuts. Then we have Trump, which turned up the dial even more. And then Biden after that, which in a way turned up the dial. It turned up the dial on a lot of the left-wing politics that made a lot of people upset because they were going too far left on a lot of the DEI politics. They were going too far left on a lot of inclusionary things that inadvertently were just sort of racist policies in the sense where they disadvantaged you based on the color of your skin. And that's not great. That's not something that we want in either direction. So, and it's not called reverse racism. Racism towards any race is racism. We can just call it what it is. And then the Biden administration fell, unfortunately. The cramming down of the vaccine mandate that literally had to be shut down by the Supreme Court. The people want to talk about the CHIPS Act. They want to talk about all the things that he got done. He also, if you want to talk about this, when the Supreme Court told him not to forgive student loan debt, he then ignored the courts, then setting the precedent that he would eventually, he's like, Trump can do whatever he wants. Biden ignores courts now. Now there's nothing in the high courts in all the land that can stop the president, especially now that Biden has broken the glass ceiling. So, listen, we can talk about the way that we got here. We can talk about how nutty things have been. But if you want to sit back and pretend that George H.W. Bush wasn't a reprieve from all this madness we're living through today, you're out of your goddamn mind.
Who pressured Greenspan publicly.
And interest rates should be
lower now.
I was shocked because nobody talked about Federal Reserve policy in public.
Was what they did improper?
Oh, indeed, yes.
They crossed a line in your view.
Well, if you have, as we do by statute, an independent Federal Reserve, it clearly is in opposition to what the purpose of the law was.
President Bush later said it was Greenspan's fault he'd lost the election in '92 to Bill Clinton. Clinton was the only Democrat Greenspan served under, and he says the smartest of all the presidents he knew.
Oh, he has to be.
I clearly was a Republican. I had to admit that he was an extraordinarily effective president.
You seem to have gotten along with him best of all your presidents.
The economy was rocking.
The bottom line is what he called our relationship.
This man was the former Federal Reserve Chair, so I just wanted to make sure if anybody forgot who Alan Greenspan was since last episode.
He said, we, I think, are the odd couple.
They indeed were, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.